I need to talk to you guys about the OneFootball app. See, the OneFootball app is the best football app there is out there, and I use it for a load of different reasons. It's great for transfer rumours, team news and starting 11s, which is actually really useful when I'm making these tactical videos. On top of that, you can now watch game highlights and even live matches, all on the OneFootball app. And believe it or not, it actually gets even better than that, because now you can do it all for free if you use the link in the description down below. So make sure to get in the description, press the link and download the OneFootball app right away. Trust me, you guys will not regret downloading this app. It really is great. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel, where today we're going to be talking about Manchester United's reasonably impressive 1-0 win over Leicester City. But I think those that watched the game would agree that it didn't really have much of a flow to it. And for me, that's for three main reasons. One was that Manchester United pressed and defended well. Another reason was that Leicester were just poor on the ball, and then the other reason was United lacked that killer instinct in the final third. And for me, those were the three main factors of this football match, so let's just get started with the tactics. And in terms of the lineups, both teams were pretty much exactly how we expected. Manchester United were literally unchanged from their past two games, whilst Leicester were also pretty much full strength in terms of their current options, although Ndidi was forced to play centre-back, which was an issue in this match. And actually, if you saw the game, you will know that Leicester had quite a lot of the ball, but personally I thought that Manchester United pressed well. So initially it may not have looked like a press because they were happy for the centre-backs to receive the ball from the goalkeeper, but that is when the rest of the team then became active. So Rashford would stand here splitting the two centre-backs, and the idea was to let Ndidi get the ball. Fernandes would then go on Soumare, Sancho up towards Justin, Eriksen on Tielemans, and then if Dewsbury Hall dropped in, McTominay would kind of follow him as well. And we can see that Manchester United were pretty much man for man in these areas, and the result of that was that Ndidi pretty much had no options, and Ndidi is not the best ball player at the best of times. Now, considering he's a midfielder playing in defence, you might expect him to be a good ball player. All of his weaknesses are on the ball, and from here he didn't really know what to do. Vardy didn't offer enough in terms of coming into his feet, and on the rare occasion that he did, Martinez was up behind him to win the ball back nice and strong in the tackle, and it meant that a lot of this game, particularly in the first half, was spent with Leicester having the ball here and just going backwards to Ward. Now, the one bit of success they did have in this half here, actually there was two methods. So one was when Rashford would come over a little bit too close and Ndidi would then go back to Ward. Alanga would get a little bit sucked in into this area, and then we can see that Alanga's kind of caught in the middle of nowhere a little bit, so the likes of Dewsbury Hall could drop in, get the ball, and then Thomas could push forward, and then they could get the ball out to Harvey Barnes, and finally Leicester had a way of moving the ball forward. And this was one of the main outlets, particularly in the first half, getting Harvey Barnes to try and go at Diogo Dalot. And typically that's kind of a good game plan because Dalot isn't the best defensively. However, in this game he was solid as a rock. Now he was helped by the fact that Barnes seemed very passive on the ball, but I thought Dalot dealt with this situation brilliantly, especially considering he got a rather harsh booking early on in the game. Even once he got that booking, he was still strong in a tackle and constantly won the ball back, and Leicester couldn't progress the ball down this side any further than that. In terms of down the right hand side, we saw something a little bit different, and that was because James Maddison was playing on the right wing, and as we know, Maddison isn't a right winger. But with Tielemans coming into this area here, drawing Eriksen out, we can see the space that this is going to leave in this area here, and that is where Maddison looked to exploit, as he would kind of step into this area, and it gave Malacia a decision to make. And at times he didn't know whether to follow Maddison into this central area, or kind of hold his position out wide as a fullback. And as I've been saying quite a lot recently, that slight hesitance at this level does cause problems, because it allowed Maddison to get the ball in here, but then from here, Leicester faced a problem that they faced all game long, and that was these players seem so devoid of confidence at the moment. I am just going to quickly interrupt because we do have another sponsor for today's video, and that is jerseyfifa.com. The website you need to head to right away to get yourself the latest and greatest football shirts, all at an extremely affordable price. The link will be in the description below, so head there right away to get yourself a great shirt, again at a great price. Now back to the video. Now, we talk a lot about tactics on this channel, but confidence is a big thing as well, because players have to be brave in possession. They have to be willing to do things quickly, take risks, move the ball forward. Maddison took so many touches on the ball every time he got it here. He was their one bright spark, he was the one player getting into his pockets of space, but he just didn't show anything with the ball. Vardy offered nothing in terms of running in behind. I can kind of recall him going in behind once, maybe twice, but Martinez dealt with it easily. He didn't offer to feet, and that was the issue for Leicester. As the game progressed into the second half, we saw Manchester United dropping a bit deeper to kind of absorb the pressure a little bit, because as we'll see later, they had the lead. But again, Leicester didn't really have anything. Let me just move these players forward quickly. So as I said, kind of as we progressed into the second half, we saw Leicester getting more and more of the ball, and we saw the fullbacks really pushing forward into these high areas. They were committing men forward. Maddison was coming into these areas in the middle, but again, he just didn't do enough on the ball. And actually what we saw eventually was a change for Manchester United. Casemiro came on for Jadon Sancho. Bruno Fernandes went wide. Eriksen went further forward. And basically, this was pointed out to me, the instruction was, as soon as Casemiro came onto the pitch, he gave an instruction to McTominay to follow Maddison everywhere he went. And for the next 30 minutes of the game, that was the case. If Maddison went out this way, McTominay was always nearby. He constantly hassled him and gave Maddison no chance on the ball. And then when you look at the rest of the midfield, there's not really much pure creativity. The fullback did also push forward to try and provide some sort of threat because the wingers were struggling. Manchester United defended every situation really well. Anytime the ball did come into the box, Varane was able to head it away. Leicester City really had nothing going forward, and if I was a Leicester fan, I would be very, very concerned because they were really, really poor on the ball. United were very good defensively and deserve credit for that, but Leicester were very poor, and with Leicester attacking poorly but committing men forward and United defending well, I think we can all see how this story is going to end. So if you go back to the first half, quickly get Sancho back on the pitch, then we can see how this is going to end. Like I said, if you throw a lot of men forward but lose the ball too easily and the opposition are defending well, you are set up for counter-attacks. And with the fullbacks forward, we can see the spaces here and here. And this is what Manchester United exploited all night long. Now, Alanga on the right wing for United isn't the most technical player, but I'll tell you what, he is a lot quicker than Johnny Evans. And that was very clear from early on. Leicester City were terrified of this pace in behind. So what this meant was that when United won the ball in these areas, the quick pass, something that we didn't see as enough against Southampton, was the quick pass into Rashford's feet. And actually, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Rashford's performance, because I thought he'd done a reasonably good job. Now, this was Rashford being asked to play as almost a linking striker, a deep lying forward, dropping in and passing into his teammates. So that is a completely new role to him, so I think we have to give him some credit, because yes, he got some decisions wrong and wasn't good enough on the ball at times, but he was playing a completely new role, so I think it's fair that we kind of give him time to adapt to that. I think it's harsh to say he was awful. What I will say is I think Martial would do a much better job, but Martial wasn't available. I think Rashford done a reasonably decent job. But this was the issue with not having Ndidi in midfield. Typically, Ndidi would play as the 6 and break up these moves here. There was Samari there, but he was kind of caught in no man's land half the time, and Rashford was constantly able to drive at these defenders. And the defenders were not keen to really engage him because they knew that the likes of Alanga had the pace. And this is, of course, what we saw for the goal. Leicester get caught high up the pitch and Manchester United counter-attack. And let's look at it here. So it all comes from United pressing once again with Jadon Sancho chasing what was pretty much a lost ball, a lost cause, a hopeless ball forward. Sancho chased it all the way back to the goalkeeper. And this goal does not happen if he doesn't do that. If Sancho is further back here, then Ward has time to take his time on the ball and then play it out to a centre-back. Sancho forces him to play the ball long, and this is where the first issue then comes in. So the ball goes long up to Dalot, and Leicester are nowhere near close enough. When he gets the ball here, Harvey Barnes has to be pressuring him, and Luke Thomas either has to make an effort to pressure, or he has to drop back. What happens is they do neither. So we can see it here, Harvey Barnes and Thomas are not close enough. James Justin is also caught high on the right wing as well, and we can see that Leicester only have 3 players ready to defend. That's a massive concern. That's a really, really big problem. And actually, when we look at the distance from the deepest centre-back to the highest striker, that's awful defensively. It's really, really bad. And then the gaps in the midfield here are way too big. Tielemans probably needs to drop in. Luke Thomas is way too high. Barnes needs to press on the ball. Leicester do none of it. And what we're going to see is that Bruno Fernandes notices this and goes, all right, I'm just going to wander into this area here. Sancho's going to walk back into an onside position, but Bruno Fernandes is just going to wander into this area here. And it spells disaster basically for Leicester City, and it's far too easy. So the ball comes over from Dalot to Bruno Fernandes with a good pass. Bruno Fernandes in a lot of space. We can see Soumare is now trying to recover. If we look at his position here, he's not affecting play. And Leicester were always reacting. They were never proactive. They were always reactive to what United were doing. That was the issue. You can see Johnny Evans knows he's in trouble here. Justin is caught high out of position and is constantly trying to make up the ground. And we'll see Sancho is just out of position here. Out of picture here, sorry. So Bruno Fernandes plays the ball through to Rashford. Rashford takes one touch to settle it and then plays another pass into Sancho. Perfectly timed run, perfectly timed pass. Through to Sancho. Justin still hasn't recovered from his higher position. Sancho's in on goal, goes round Ward and slots it into the empty net. As it turned out, that goal was enough to secure all 3 points for Manchester United, and
This has been a slightly brief video, but it's because there isn't a ton to talk about from a United point of view on the ball, because life was made so easy for them. Like I said, I think the one thing that I personally really learned was that Martial playing that striker role, linking the play, could really do some damage in these sorts of games. However, will United get games this easy again? I'm not sure, because Leicester really were awful. They offered nothing on the ball and were absolutely awful defensively. Yes, in the second half they did push numbers forward and start to try and create something, but like I said, we saw Casemiro come on, we saw Ronaldo come on as well, and Leicester didn't have anything. I thought Ronaldo offered a good threat, but at times he just needed to keep the ball, be a bit safer, keep possession for his side, but he certainly offered a new threat for United going in behind and coming short as well. But like I said, Casemiro, McTominay, Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen, they all saw the game out absolutely brilliantly, and they were brilliant from start to finish. Leicester had nothing on the ball, they had no answer to the problems United were causing. United deserved their 1-0 win. It wasn't vintage, it was a very solid, efficient away performance with a clean sheet, which is huge for this team, and I really don't remember De Gea being tested. We saw one late chance with Justin getting forward and blazing the shot over. That was the only threat Leicester carried all game long, one chance. Apart from that, De Gea had an easy game apart from set pieces. So happy days for Manchester United, a nice, comfortable win for Erik ten Hag. Let's see what they do this weekend in a bigger test against Arsenal. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.